Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order our regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, March 11th at 7 p.m. Our first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by a pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members that have given their lives while defending our country. Would everybody please stand? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Miller, you take the roll, please.
Mayor Walker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jacobs.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
Councilmember Squires.
Here.
Councilmember Earl.
Here.
Councilmember McCarge.
Here.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Here.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, approval of the agenda with the addition of A5 and the removal of B1.
Mayor,
Councilmember Lynch.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Monday, March 11th, 2019, 7 o'clock p.m., removing B1 and adding A5.
Support.
Okay, we got support by Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. At this time, we'll move on to item 5, recognition, promotion of Officer Bruce Shippi to the rank of Sergeant. I'm going to call up Chief Tim Gibbons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. It's a good day today in Garden City. Up here with me is Officer Bruce Shippi. Hopefully by the end of this meeting, we'll be calling him Sergeant Bruce Shippi. Bruce, this is a long time coming from Bruce. Bruce is an asset to the department. He joined us in 1999, where we stole him from Wyandotte, thankfully. He got homesick because he actually was a reserve earlier in the 90s. And then in 2006, Officer Shippi became our K-9 handler. And then until his current role, 2018, where he became our community resource officer. And he's just been a terrific asset in that position. In addition to that, he's a field training officer, was a member of our special investigations unit, and just carried out numerous functions throughout the PD and always been a face that's well known around Garden City. And this is a promotion that's well deserved. So at this time, I'd like to turn over to Judge Hammer for the swearing in. And I do appreciate his doing this. I definitely like this tradition we've started.
My honor. Bear with me while I put on the official garb. People, it's more than just a role. It's sort of a symbol. It's more than just the person. It's a symbol that I'm acting on behalf of the people of the city, and I'm very proud to be able to do this. So we're going to be administering the oath to Sergeant Shippi. Is that correct?
Sergeant Shippi, that's correct.
All right. Typically right here.
And by his side, as usual, is Rudy.
By the way, I'm very proud and happy to be able to do this. I've worked with Officer Shippi for many years, and I've got great respect for him. It truly is an honor to be able to administer the oath. Please raise your right hand. I, the other sign.
I, the
the undersigned.
Shippi,
Bruce Shippi.
have been duly appointed
Have been duly
to
appointed
the rank of police sergeant
to the rank of police sergeant
of the city of Garden City.
of the city of Garden City.
Do hereby solemnly swear
Do hereby solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Garden City,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Garden City,
and will uphold
and will uphold
and abide by
and abide by
the rules and regulations,
the rules and regulations,
as well as all other orders, be they general, special, or otherwise,
as well as all other orders, whether they be general, special, or otherwise,
of the city of Garden City Police Department,
of the city of Garden City Police
to
Department,
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
That I will not at any time
That I will not at any time
lend, aid, advise, or succor
lend, aid, advise, or succor
to any organization known or suspected
to any organization known or suspected
of having subversive tendencies,
of having subversive tendencies,
nor will I in any way
nor will I in any way
affiliate myself with such organizations.
affiliate myself with such organizations.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
All right, and as tradition, Bruce will have someone pin his badge on. There you go, Annette. Feel free to stab away. Anything he's upset you about lately, this is the time. Nice work.
Okay, we will, at this time, we'll move on to number 7, comments from state and county officials. Wayne County Commissioner Glenn Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council members and folks here and at home. Just a couple of quick things to report. Last week at the Thursday meeting of the Wayne County Commission, myself and Commissioners Melissa Daub and Commissioner Diane Webb, we introduced a bill to finally do what you've been doing probably since all of you have been here, is broadcasting the commission meetings. Believe it or not, Wayne County Commission has never been broadcasted by video, never been available on the web, never been basically transparent and open, their meetings. And so we introduced that. Unfortunately, it was voted down when we brought it up. but I have hope that it's going to, within 6 months to a year, the chair has now said that she will see that transparency becomes more present in the Wayne County Commission meetings. I think that's been sorely lacking in Wayne County, and I think folks at home have a right, just like they see what happens at the local council meetings, like you do here, they have a right to see what's happening in Wayne County with a budget of over $1.5 billion a year of their tax dollars being spent. And we look forward to that happening. It was a little bumpy trying to get that introduced and get it through, but I believe in the end it'll be the rule. Also, with the other thing I wanted to mention is that the Wayne County Parks millage allocation for Garden City has gone up, even though it's only $50. It's gone up to $16,595 this year. So it's $50 higher than last year, or the previous year. So that's the 18-19 allocation. And so look forward to getting that as a project for you guys. And so whenever you submit that, we'll try to get it through as quick as possible. But anyway, that's all I have, unless someone has a question.
Anybody have anything for the commission?
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see nobody here from the state. We have no community event announcements tonight, no petitions, communications, no public hearings. Move on to item 11, the consent agenda as presented.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda, items 11A, 1 through 5.
Support.
Support. Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to our B action items, we're going to go right to B2, the Board of Review compensation. Mr. Miller, you want to explain this to the residents?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This evening before you, I have a recommendation to increase the rate of pay for the Board of Review. The Board of Review is the group of residents that is assigned to review and hear people that have a question or want to fight their taxes, shall we say, or assessments on their property. The Board of Review has been functioning at the same rates of pay since 1983, and I thought it was a good time now to make a review of their rate of pay and to increase it, actually to double it since that time. This is the only board in the city that actually can receive a compensation, and they do, I think, a great job. They have to sit and hear complaints about taxes. They also listen for errors or omissions, and they have a number of meetings throughout the year that are scheduled that they're required to attend. They have organizational meetings and then a number of day-long meetings where they hear these issues from taxpayers and make recommendations and look to see that the justices serve in regards to their assessment. So I would like to make a recommendation that they do get an increase to help with all the work that they've done and the work that they're going to do.
You want to tell our residents what it was and what it's going to, just so they know?
The organizational meeting is $25, and it will remain at $25. If they worked a half day, they used to get $25, and they will get $50. And if they work a full day, it was $50, and they will get $100. So with that, again, it is a doubling of that. Their full day is defined, actually. For example, today they did work 9 to 4:30. They do have night meetings also to accommodate people's schedules.
Right. Councilmember Lynch?
And as we know, but the residents don't, you've checked with other communities surrounding us to see what their rate of pay is also.
Yes, I did.
And we're not talking a lot of money here. We're talking, they only meet once or twice a year, right?
Correct.
So, okay.
Mayor?
Councilmember McCarge.
Sorry. The Board of Review has always done a great job, and I know that it's actually somewhat of a stressful job for them. My concern is, you did say that you did a comparison, but it's not listed in your, the information. You said you checked with 3 different communities, and so I have a little bit of a concern with that it's not listed. The other thing is, And I guess because we're right in the middle of budget season, I don't understand why some of this is not part of our budget process. I wish that it was part of our budget process, at least we could discuss it. I don't think it's wrong to increase. I just wish it was part of our budget process. But not having a comparison, I would want a comparison before I voted yes on this.
Okay.
I think you're going into the season at this time, correct?
Yes.
So that was why it wasn't waiting until July. Once we get through July, the season will pass already, so that's why. But good point that we are discussing boards in our budget meetings, at least for the future.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, Mayor, I will make the motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I move to approve revised compensation for the Board of Review in the amount of $25 for an organizational meeting, $50 for a half-day, and $100 for a full day.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes 6-1. Okay, item 3, election inspectors' pay rate. Go to you as well, Mr. Miller.
Yes, this was, again, part of the review that occurred before I started, and we're trying to look at all of the rates of pay that our community members receive for working on behalf of the city. And a study was done prior to me starting here in Garden City to look at the rate of pays for election inspectors that work at the polls for the city at election time. And we did, once we did look at them, Garden City's was actually the lowest in the county and surrounding area for election inspectors' pay. We were having a problem actually getting people to work the elections, and it's still an issue. It is a long day, but we thought that if we could bring our prices or our pay up to the par with the surrounding communities, that it would be maybe an easier task to fill these positions to work at the precincts. And I give Doc a lot of credit. I was working in Wayne, and about 2 days after the last election, I received a survey to see what we were paying our inspectors, and I was surprised because usually a couple days after the election, we're still kind of doing cleanup, so and kind of working to get things back in order after the election. But again, if you do look at the salary survey that was done, it is right in line with all of the other communities. A chairperson would make $200 per day, and then the co-chair would make $190. Election inspector, just a regular worker, would make $170 for the day. Any training that would occur would be a $20 stipend. If they use their cell phone, they would get an additional $10 stipend. What it was before was it was $140 for the chairperson's pay. The inspectors were $110, and they received $10 to come to the meeting. So again, I feel that these people are the guardians of democracy. They do an important job. We did take this before the Election Commission and make a recommendation to you to set their rate of pay. And the Election Commission did agree unanimously to send it to the council for this recommendation.
And part of what Matt said is correct. The second day later was the survey went out quick because we found out that we had the toughest time to try to get election workers, and it came down that some people just go to another city, do the same job working in some school somewhere, making $50 more. Well, we need to do something quick, which is why we did the survey moments after the election ended, yes.
Okay, motion's in order.
Okay, Mayor,
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve the proposed pay rate for election inspectors in accordance with the Election Commission's recommendation of February 25th, 2019.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Any other comments from the table?
Mayor, just one comment. Not only were they the lowest, but it looks like they were significantly the lowest paid out of everything on this study. I mean, it was a lot lower than everywhere else, so I'm
Yep.
happy to see we're adjusting this.
Mayor,
Councilmember McCarge.
I'm still going to say the same thing. I'm concerned that this isn't part of the budget process, and yes, we were one of the lowest, and now we're towards the highest. I wish there would be, that this was part of the budget. That's
Okay.
all.
Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes 6-1. Item 4, extension of spray patch program contract.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move to approve the extension of the 2018 spray patch program contract for the 2019 construction season with Highway Maintenance and Construction Company of Romulus, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to be completed by October 31st, 2019.
Support.
Support from Councilmember McCarge. Any comments from the table?
Yes,
Mr.
Mayor,
Doherty?
this is extending last year's contract with the same company, went through the bid process last year. We spent about $60,000 in the past year, and you'll notice a lot of roads that are filled in with the spray patch. What was interesting for me is to see what happens after this first number of snowstorms and how it handled the snow plowing, and I don't see any difference in these roads. I thought it might pick up as you come through with the plow. It did not. I drove on a few roads today. Taking a look at it again. So this is a great thing. What it does is basically extends the life of some of our roads. Doesn't make the roads outstanding. It certainly makes them drivable compared to having holes and pits. And as soon as the road has holes and pits around, it's only a matter of time till it deteriorates further. We're stopping some of those issues that we can now maybe wait a couple of years to come back for major construction. But it is amazing how much the small amount goes across the city. What we did this past year in a small contract. And so this just carries on what we're trying to do with our roads. If it isn't being fixed fully, this is a way to keep a nice bandage on it at least for a few more years. So it's a good project.
Any other comments from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 5, design and bidding services for Middle Belt Road water main replacement.
Mayor?
Councilmember McCarge.
I move to approve the retaining of Hennessy Engineers Incorporated for the design and bidding services for the Middle Belt Road water main replacement, east side Maplewood Avenue to Cambridge Avenue, in an amount not to exceed $21,150.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. This is the water main out in front of the high school. We've had, I think, 5 water main breaks in the last few years out there. A couple times they had to release the kids home from school because you can't have people in the building with no water. So this is going to be a brand-new water main in front of the high school, and this is paid for out of our water fund. And this will be a new solid pipe, and we won't have to cancel school several times and disrupt traffic on Middle Belt. So it's a much-needed repair, and that's what this is all about. Is there any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. Item 6, purchase of Caterpillar backhoe loader.
Mayor,
Councilmember Jacobs.
I move to approve the purchase of a 2019 Caterpillar backhoe loader, model number 430F2, from Michigan Cat of Brownstown Township, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $121,609.
Support. Support for Councilmember Earl. Mr. Doherty.
Thank you, Mayor. This next 3 items are probably coming towards the end of our replacement, much-needed replacement. Out of the Water Department, this backhoe will replace our 1993 backhoe loader, which, of course, anything that gets into 20, 25, 30 years, it's time to replace, becomes more maintenance than worth it. And this will allow us then to be more efficient in getting the water mains replaced on a quicker scale. So, good.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilmember Squires?
I'm happy to see that we are replacing a lot of our old items
Yeah.
before they do totally break down, so there's not a lack of time in between if something happens and we need it. So thank you.
Yeah, 1993, I would say we got our money's worth out of that one. Absolutely.
We've gotten our money's worth out of a lot of them.
But again, we were being smart and not spending money during the recession, and we're starting to come out of the recession. I've said this before, and we held off on a lot of spending for several years. So it sounds like we're buying a lot of items, which we are, but it's time to replace the stuff so these guys can work more efficiently, and we're not spending all this money on maintenance costs, keeping old equipment running. So there's money in the water fund to do this, and that's exactly what we're doing. Any other comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. Moving on to item 7, purchase of 2 13-yard dump trucks for DPS.
Mayor,
Councilmember Earl.
I move to approve the purchase of 2 13-yard dump trucks from Wolverine Truck Sales of Mount Clemens, Michigan, through the Rochester Hills Municipal Cooperative and Versalift Midwest through the Michigan Deal Contract in an amount not to exceed $296,964.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Same comments apply to this one as well as the next, much needed.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a question. Are these replacing dump trucks?
Yes.
And how old are those dump trucks?
These two are from 1987 and 1997, so 22 years old and 32 years old. Unfortunately for these, it's going to take about a year to get here, which is kind of one of the things we pushed up on the list to make sure that we get moving on it, because we won't see it for a period of a year, but 32 years and 22 years.
And I just wanted to make sure that, people heard how old some of our equipment is, and this is also out of the water fund, and these will be used for water and sewer, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8, purchase of 2019 Ford cargo step van.
Mayor,
Councilmember Kerwin.
motion to approve the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-59 4x2 cargo van from Gorno Ford of Woodhaven, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $67,573.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. And what year is this one replacing?
This one was 1999, so only 20 years old, but used every day. These are the big bread trucks that you see at the side of the roadways when the big main is broken.
With all their tools and-
These are full water trucks that carry all the pieces you need, so
Yep.
people will notice there is another new one on the road, but we never have one main break at a time. There's always 2, if not even 3, and if there's 3 main breaks, water is still running until we can get to it. This allows us to be able to get to the 3rd one, but certainly have 2 efficient ones now. We still have an older bread truck that we're keeping, but these 2 will be in service immediately and be used at the same time simultaneously. Going back to the Councilwoman's point also about the replacement, is this spring, we will have an auction for the older equipment, that we have. So some small amount of money will come back for some of these pieces of equipment, but they are true replacements. So we will be farming out through an auction the other pieces, and we'll make that well known to all the residents and local businesses around us for some of these older pieces of equipment.
Okay, and real quick, Mr. Ullman, how many water main breaks have we had in the last 72 hours? 4. We've had 4 water main breaks just in the last 72 hours. And as this weather warms up, they're going to start popping like popcorn. I mean, that's what happens. The ground starts shifting when the frost, when you get those, we're going to get in the 50s or 60s this week, so. But that's why we need this type of equipment. That's why I wanted to ask that question, because I know we've had at least 3, and he said we've had 4, so. Any other comments from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this passes 7-0. And the last item, item 9, call for a public hearing on our vacant properties ordinance for April 8th at 7 p.m.
Mayor?
Councilmember Squires?
I move to introduce a vacant properties ordinance and call for a public hearing for Monday, April 8th, 2019.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Any comments on this?
Yes, it's a long time coming.
Yeah, just, council, please feel free to go through this a little bit, and if there's some things you might want to question or add on to, at the next meeting, we can get into a little more detail, since this is just calling for.
We will have
the
discussion on April 8th for sure. This is just calling for the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. This time, we'll move on to item 12, public comments. Anybody wishing to speak? There's a 3-minute time limit for items that were not on the agenda. Anybody wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none, city manager's report.
Just a real quick announcement for State of the City address is on our website and Facebook pages and other things. It kind of gives a nice recap for the past year of the mayor talking about our positive things throughout the community, so everybody should take a look at that. And it's only 28 minutes of your life, so it's worth watching. Then I'll balance the rest of my time to the mayor when he talks about some of our promotional items.
That's great.
Our next budget meeting, or our
Monday.
budget meeting?
Monday, this Monday night, a week from now, 6 o'clock in the police station. Correct.
Okay, you all set? We'll go at this end. Mr. Miller, you got anything tonight?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Earl?
Yeah, just, again, congratulations to now Sergeant Bruce Shippi. The guy does a phenomenal job representing the city and the department, and I think it's a great move. He's going to be a great leader, and I look forward to seeing him shape the next generation of officers coming in. That's it.
Okay. Councilmember Squires?
Okay, yes, just congratulations to Sergeant Shippi on a job well done. And Commissioner Anderson, I think that's a great idea to have those meetings brought to light so everyone can share and see what's going on. I can also understand why certain people don't want it. But at any rate, I wanted to say the 2019 Golden Book has been, I've heard nothing but good raves about it.
Great, thank you.
And so thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes, I have a few things. Again, congratulations to Sergeant Shippi. Him and Rudy do a phenomenal job for the city, and it's well-deserved. I'd also like to say happy birthday, a little belated, to a friend, Jennifer Shadowrow. Hopefully you had an enjoyable time Friday. Garden City Lions Club. They're hosting their 28th annual Pancake Breakfast on Sunday, St. Patrick's Day. So those of you that are planning on going out that day, you can get a fill-in early in the morning. It starts at 8 a.m. and it goes to 11:30 a.m. We have celebrity cooks, our Garden City Fire Department, and they cook up pancakes, sausage, scrambled eggs, and some refreshments. It will be held at the Garden City Moose. It's $5 for adults, $2 for children, and it's a good time, and it goes to a good cause for the kids in Garden City. So get started on that early in the morning and put a base down before you celebrate. Also, on some of the bids, when we do like the roads and stuff like that, I'd like to see included if they're union companies, which ones are union and which ones are non-union, and where they are. I know sometimes we get the city that the company's out of, and sometimes we don't. I'd like to see the city's always in there, and if they're union or non-union. And also, Mr. Doherty, on our roads, who chose the roads that are going to be the full reclamation, and how did they choose them?
That was through the passer system. Ryan, if you want to come up while I'm talking a little bit. The passer system, as we discussed at SEMCOG last week also, they do a rating of 1 through 10 on what the road is. Still subjective when it gets down to it, but professionals that are able to review have an idea of the difference between a 6 and an 8. The roads themselves. So, and that was discussed when we first did the bond issue, explaining to people why one road was worse than another. Generally, what we did was worked with Hennessy as our consultant. So it wasn't anyone on this board here chose any roads to be done. Myself did not choose the roads to be done. This was through an outside consultant to make sure that we didn't have any political influence on the bond itself. So Ryan, if you want to explain a little more.
You know, Doc's right. It was based on the 2018 pavement evaluation that we did and compared it with past pavement evaluations that we did in 2011 and 2014 as well to see which streets are deteriorating faster than others. It was also the intent of the road bond program to focus on those streets where houses front those streets. So I know there are streets such as Craig, Moeller, Hubbard that are collector streets, but they don't have homes that front those streets. So the focus of the road bond program was to address those streets where homes are fronting those streets and to focus on collector streets at a later time. That was the focus of the road bond. So I know there are some streets out there that are rated 1, some of them could be rated 0 really, especially Craig and Moeller, but the intent was to focus on those streets that are used more locally.
Now, the choice itself, just to back up Ryan, there was, if we just went and did the worst roads possible, our concern was, and I explained this during some of our road bond meetings, was if we just go to the worst roads, there's other roads that we could save and spend a little less money on, or a lot less money.
A lot less, yeah.
So if there's $1 million road that 3 or 4 years from now is going to have to be replaced for $1 million, we may be able to section and do some work on it right now for $100,000.
Right.
And save it for the next decade. So although some people looked and said, just go to the worst roads and take care of the worst ones, we may be spending $1 million all over the place, and then we look back and say, gosh, a couple of years ago, we should have done something for that other road. So people will see some roads that are just dead roads, 100% dead, we're going to be replacing. Other roads might look like they're half dead. Why are we doing that one? It's because we're not giving it the full treatment of $1 million. We're spending $100,000 to try to save that road. So some people may look at it and say, my side road's terrible, we're not touching it, but my front road looks great. Well, it's not great. What we're trying to do is save it from being $1 million road. So with $15 million, which adds up to about 15 miles, we have 100 miles in the city. We've got 15 miles that we can work on. We could probably work on 80 miles in this community, but that would be $80 million. So picking and choosing the roads over the next few years is complicated, but we are doing the roads that we told the people that we're going to do first. Those roads will absolutely be done, and then we're going to go from there.
Right.
Then I have 2 questions on that, is if we're not doing Craig and Hubbard and Moeller that are bad, but we're doing Elmwood that is the same thing, it's not fronted by any houses, and it's not in very bad shape. We just spent thousands of dollars on spray patching it to make it better. Well, how are we doing that then? When we got roads that are completely trashed and we're still doing a full reclamation. So I don't see the difference of if one road's semi-good and one is completely bad, why we would do the semi-bad one over the ones that are completely bad.
I'd have to look back and see how that was determined as far as Elmwood, but I know that street has deteriorated very quickly within the last few years. That's probably why that one rose up faster than some of the others.
Okay, because I just drove it, and it's way better than about 10 other roads that I could.
That's because it's been spray patched this past year, which
Okay, but
lasts about 3 to 5 years. I think it's on the program for 2021, so by that time the spray patching may be starting to wear away, and it would be back to.
But again, in the meantime, we
deterioration.
got roads that are completely, almost undrivable right now. I seen a guy almost have to walk his motorcycle through the one street today. So, you know, and I'd like to see personally the number ratings. Every map we get just shows a red line, a yellow line, a green line. I'd like to know how the roads, where they're rated and how where they're at on that.
I can provide you that.
Okay.
Can I, just one, I understand that Moeller and Craig don't have the frontage, but those are major bus routes, and those are major roads that the people that live in the subdivision use to traverse north and south. Moeller is unpassable at this point.
I agree
So
with you.
while I get that there's no frontage, it's a road that everybody uses. And so, you know, I'd like to see the ratings as well, but I'd like to see consideration on some of these roads that people may not live directly on, but you know, they utilize them every day, so.
Sure.
And we didn't, council, we didn't put a 5-year list out there to make sure that we had that ability. We figured by the 3rd year, one road that we thought was in great shape might fall apart with the Incredible Hawk running down the street. So we didn't want to say, here's the 5-year list guaranteed. So we do have that leeway as we look at some of these other roads. What should have been done, but just didn't make the cut. Again, 15 miles out of 80 miles that we probably should do. We're trying to do the best we can with it, but we definitely have some time to discuss those. And as Ryan mentioned, Elmwood would be on the 3rd year at this point. That's not something we're doing right now. at this point, but definitely Mueller, Craig, Hubbard, Craig, James.
Yeah, right
Ringo,
now, they're almost
Paul.
undrivable now. So if we're not even going to look at them until possibly 4 years down the road, what kind of shape are they going to be in by then? There's not enough asphalt in the DPS yard to fill those. You'd have to redo the.
Water, it's just like a big pond.
So I don't know why we're looking at medium bad roads versus completely tore up roads that are getting to the point in 4 years can be completely unpassable.
But again, just remember, the bad road's going to cost us $1 million. Some of these
You're
medium
still,
roads might
you're
be
still doing
100.
a full reclamation.
Well, I'm
The
saying it might
price
be-
isn't going to change.
No, the 100, 200,000, some of the sectioning on those roads that we're trying to
But
do.
we're not doing, I'm talking about full reclamation.
Well,
Elmwood's going to be full reclamation. Hubbard, Craig, Mueller, those are all going to be full reclamation. There's not
Yep.
we're not sectioning them. So there's no difference in cost.
And if they're not on the list yet, you're looking at another $3-4 million per road.
Elmwood's not on the list for
1.2
this
million
year,
was
next year.
Hubbard.
It's in it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Well,
But let me say a few things. You also got to look at traffic. We're doing Maplewood. All the streets have residential traffic. But you take Maplewood that we're doing, that's our community center and our library, and there's also a church.
Right.
And
on
it's
the
in
corner.
bad shape.
Yeah. And so you got to look at that is the traffic that Maplewood would get more than another street. And the same thing when you go to Elmwood. That is the route for all the rescue units of all the surrounding cities and our city to the hospital that serves our community. So Elmwood gets a lot more traffic than Craig or Moeller.
So
Just
we're
like
worrying about,
Maplewood.
we're
well,
worrying about the traffic from Inkster Fire Department and Westland Fire Department and Dearborn Heights Police or Fire Department.
Yeah, it's a.
They're not paying for the roads. Why are we overly
it's
concerned with
traffic.
those?
It's traffic. Just other people come to our Maplewood Community Center too from other cities.
That's right, but it's a city.
You gotta look at the traffic, is what I'm saying.
Well, I disagree with Elmwood completely. I've said it for 2 years.
Okay.
They pay the same mills that all our other residents. I don't think because they're a $1 million company, they should be pushed to the front of that list or close to the front of that list.
Talking about the hospital.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're a for-profit, they make millions of dollars. I don't think they should be pushed to the front when we push our residents' streets to the back.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to me. That's all I
Mayor?
have.
Okay.
I think that I've seen streets that are not on that list that are terrible. The reality is, I don't care how you do it, there's going to be roads that need to be done and should have been done, can't be done, and it's the same picture all over the state of Michigan. So Garden City, I think we could debate all night, you know, what roads should be done, what roads should be done, not do, and we would not be happy with the result. So I saw the list that you made, you know, your company made up several years ago with all of the numbers and it was made clear to us when we went, you know, for the millage that we would not be able to do all the roads the first 2 years, and we would be doing different amounts of work. We wouldn't do the total. You know, and it makes sense when I'm looking at it. Now, is there one road over another road that should, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. Because I don't care, for every road we do, there's going to be someone who says we should have done their road.
And that's part of the reason why we went 3 years down the road, because we're going to reevaluate the streets during the third year and in order to reevaluate everything, because some streets are going to deteriorate faster than others. So, you know, we'll have a better idea in
Some are already
2022.
deteriorated.
I understand there's more deteriorated out there than what
But
can be
we're
afforded.
not doing the ones that are completely deteriorated. We're doing the ones that are half bad and then doing that. They're paying the same mills that, again, that myself or anybody, any other resident in the city, some people can't even get down their streets without going pretty much idling versus doing it the other way, worrying about other cities coming in that aren't paying a penny toward it. Plus the business making $1 million off of those people coming in.
I have a question, I'm confused. So Elmwood was spray patched, it's already been done. It needs to be done again.
They want to do a full reclamation.
Tear the whole thing out?
It's on the 3-year list. It's
Yeah,
not
Does
this
it
year.
need
next
to
year.
be
It's on
torn
the
out?
list for the
It will
third
be
year.
eventually,
For a
but it's-
complete, yeah, it's for a complete concrete reconstruction in year 3.
Eventually, it'll need it, but
It needs
there's,
to be done before some of the roads that are completely crumbled.
We've heard it from our
It's-
public safety on a regular basis of the ambulance ride going into the hospital.
Yes.
That if you didn't need hernia surgery, you probably do by the time you're done driving down Elmwood in the ambulance.
that's
because
all
of
right,
the-
after I drive down some of the roads, that's where I got the hernia. And now they're gonna have to come and pick me up at my house, which they're not gonna like driving down my street,
I can't disagree with you at all.
so.
But that was why, it was part of, it wasn't just to take care of the hospital, it was all the ambulances and people going down that road was pretty rough. Now, we have spray patch to maintain it at this point, otherwise it would be really a useless road. But it's on the third-year list of the roads to be done, so
I'll have to go drive down there tonight. Okay.
at that point, it could be
Yeah, I will
reevaluated.
welcome anybody to drive down there and tell me it's
If
one of the
spray
worst roads.
patch holds, it might go for
Yeah.
4 or 5.
That's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Lynch?
Yes, I'm hungry tonight, so I'm going to talk about food instead. On Friday this week, because we didn't get a chance to mention it last week, fish fries at St. Thomas, and that's always my favorite time of the year, to go between 4:30 and 7 o'clock, get your fish dinners, support a wonderful parish, and get your tummy full all at the same time. And then Sunday is St. Patrick's Day. We have a good breakfast starting out the day, and from 3:30 until 6 o'clock at St. Thomas, there's corned beef and cabbage, and they're selling that until they're sold out again. So 2 opportunities this week, but the fish fries go every Friday until Easter. So hopefully, we'll see you at St. Thomas for some good food. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kerwin?
I just want to congratulate Sergeant Shippi now. And I'm glad that Jacob's brought up the roads. I'd like to go see that for myself as well. I don't quite understand. We'll have to talk later then, so I can get a better understanding.
No, we could talk.
And I've also been questioned quite a bit about the sidewalks, and I know that's coming.
Putting them in?
Well, yeah. So, for the houses that don't have any,
Okay. Yep, we'll talk about that separately and maybe an item for the future.
Okay.
The council.
that's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember McCarge?
Concerning the roads, I remember I went to a program, educational program on road maintenance, and one of the highlights of that program was when they said to do like the spray patching and some of the maintenance, that the amount that saves on the road and the longevity of that road is well worth doing that. So a road might only last 5 years, and if you do this maintenance and upkeep, it'll last 10 years, which is a significant amount. And they highly recommend that even though our major roads, roads need to be completely redone, that not to ignore the roads that you can make live 5 years more, because it's a significant savings. And that's why it was an outside group. It was actually a nationally known person in the road, in road repair and stuff. And I'm glad I remembered I went to that meeting, and that is what I came out of it with. So it's definitely a sensitive issue. And I don't know if there's a right answer. There's an answer, but maybe not necessarily a right answer. On a lighter note, I have been asked to thank all the businesses and the people who supported the Kiwanis pig race that was this past weekend. And I have to tell you, we have such great businesses and people in Garden City. They just support our service organizations, not just the Kiwanis, but the Rotary and the Lions Club, the food pantry. We're just a very fortunate community. Congratulations to Sergeant Shippi, who also came and visited us at the pig race and made sure that everything was running right. But actually, the police association, they supported it by buying, getting a pig for the race. So I don't think their pig did real well, but anyway, it was a good evening, and I know quite a few people right up here helped with that program. The Kiwanis Club also would like, they have a social media manager now, and they would like to encourage the community to visit their Facebook page at Kiwanis of Garden City, and the Instagram, which I have not a clue how to do that. But anyway, it is GC Kiwanis Michigan. So you can see, if you visit those media sites, you can see what the community, what Kiwanis is doing with the funds that they, raised at the pig race. But again, kudos to all our service groups. They work so hard and do so much for this community. That is all.
Okay. I also want to say congratulations to Sergeant Bruce Shippi on your promotion, well-deserved. Few good notes. The Garden City Big Boys is now open. They opened today, so go down there and check them out. It's a real nice restaurant. Also, Garden City, we're trying to keep you informed. We mailed out the Golden Book to every resident, every business. This tells you about the laws and services, all the city phone numbers, a lot of good information in here. If you didn't get one or you misplaced it, you can come up to City Hall and pick up one. Also, every time you get a water bill, we got the Garden City Buzz newsletter in there to keep you informed on events front and back of what's going on in Garden City. You can also go to the City of Garden City on Facebook. You can also go to our website at gardencitymi.org to stay informed. So we're trying to keep you informed. Use these tools. That's what they're there for, and you'll definitely know what's going on in Garden City. That's all I have. No further business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.